All right, everyone. Happy Saturday, and thank you for joining us on this weekend's episode of David's Saturday Night Sit Back. Today, sitting back with me, I have Daneeka Holt, who is a membership experience supervisor at On It Gym here in Austin, Texas. Back in 2016, Daneeka's graduation goal from San Francisco State University was to be a hospitality and events coordinator. And in some respects, she has accomplished that through her role at On It. But also in 2017, she became a certified wedding planner through the Bridal Society. When Daneeka isn't working, her hobbies, as far as I can tell from her social media anyways, is that she's a bit of a chef, a cook. Family is very important to her, and I can't wait to dive into her story moving from San Francisco, California to Austin, Texas. Daneeka, I'm grateful to sit back with you and talk through all things family, fitness, community, humility, and who knows what other topics we might hit on. Thank you for being here, and welcome to your episode on David's Saturday Night Sit Back.
Thank you. I am stoked. I honestly was thrilled that you reached out on Instagram and asked if I was interested in doing this because, like I mentioned, this is my first time that I've been asked, and so I was like, okay, let's do this. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being brave to say yes. You know, I have for probably I'm going to make up some numbers, but for 20 people I invite, probably 15 of them never even respond. 3 of them say no, and then 2 actually say maybe, and hopefully they show up. But I do wonder, out of those 15 people that never even respond, if it's just because they're either they don't think they have anything to say, they're nervous, or they just get in there. Just like we were talking about before getting on mic, they're just like, why would he invite me? I'm nobody. And I wish I could read those thoughts and then message them again and be like, you do have something to say. So come on and say it. I'll help you out.
Yeah. No, it's very cool, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity. So thank you again. But yeah, no, I'm stoked to be here. Definitely, it's been a more relaxed week. We've had, I like you mentioned, I work at On It Gym, and with South by Southwest. It's been a bit quieter around the gym, and then half our staff and a number of our members are actually at the High Rocks right now competing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so everyone, it was a quieter week, but we were able to catch up on some work and whatnot. But honestly, going into the weekend, it's been really relaxing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Good. It's the perfect weekend to have a relaxing weekend because it's so freaking nice outside.
I know. The weather's a lot better with some random storms the other day. But no, I definitely am getting outside today. I've definitely been taking my dog out and getting some walks around the duck pond and the green belt. I live right off the green belt, so that's been great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was the drive here to how far away was it from your place, give or take?
It's about 20 minutes. I'm off of Slaughter, so in West Slaughter, so it's down South Austin.
Have you and your dog hiked the 360 bridge that you probably drove by on your way in?
Not yet, but we're definitely finding time to get out. I do want to take her to Big Bend at some point. Her name's Meadow, my dog. Shout out to Meadow. But yes, I definitely want to take her to Big Bend and a couple other locations. She's lived with me and my boyfriend. It was my boyfriend's dog, and so we moved in together probably about a year ago, and so this is actually my first pet.
Nice.
First pet that I'm taking care of.
Sorry, buddy. I don't know if you guys could hear that. He loves to he has this giant basket of toys, and I swear he never even looks at them. And then as soon as someone comes over and starts recording, I almost think it's like a cry for attention. Like, oh my God, Dad isn't paying 100% attention to me anymore. So let me get my squeaky toys out, and I might give it back to you in a little bit. We'll see. But for now, you can just sleep. When you and your boyfriend moved in together, did Meadow end up still being your favorite, or did you start to see her becoming friends with your boyfriend as well?
She actually belonged to my boyfriend first. But I think it's actually more so her relationship with the both of us have evolved since living together, and I think it's just that stability and the comfort. And then with me leaning more towards getting outdoors more often, we're going on more walks and just all the cuddle sessions. I love cuddling my dog. But no, it's been a good time having a dog and just seeing her personality come out more with the comfort of having a solid home. But yeah.
That's awesome. My friends Tyler and Amaya have this joke that Tyler is sort of like taking her dog from her because when they moved in, Tucker was her dog, but Tyler and him have just become like the closest, bestest friends. Part of it is probably he works from home and Amaya has to go to work every day, so he just gets hours and hours of time with them that Amaya doesn't get.
Yeah.
But it's just funny to see their relationship and how they're like just best friends now.
Yeah, she's definitely owning her femininity right now and just like enjoying all the like pets and it's so cute. But yeah, she's definitely a scrappy dog, but she is also relaxing into who she is.
That's awesome. We have a mutual friend, Justin De La Cruz.
I know.
For those who may have not heard, his episode came out like a month ago, so if you scroll just a little bit, you can find it. How do you know Justin?
So on a gym, we have a number of vendors who we partner up with. They sponsor our events, and he's the manager of Toss Pizzeria, and he is also he's been with the gym for, I believe, 7 or so years, but he is part of the community. Like, he is somebody that people call a friend. He has been in so many different workouts. I also I really enjoyed his podcast, hearing more of his story, and I just really appreciate that the family life that he talks about with his own family, like, he brings that to Toss. He brings that to On a Gym, no matter what workout, because every single class almost has its own little community within the On a Gym community.
Yeah.
And he's at the center of it, and it's so cool to see. I was so thrilled, not too long after you asked me, seeing him on the podcast, and just like, oh, that's awesome. Like, I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, I'm really stoked that he was able to be a part of this. And honestly, working with him, it's been a great experience, and I'm loving to see how his company is expanding and the different offerings. Like, they have music nights, trivia nights now. Like, On a Gym, we host our happy hours at Toss.
Nice.
So yeah, that was really cool to see that he popped up on your podcast.
Yeah, he's a good guy. When he told me the story about the incident where someone came in and stole thousands of dollars of copper out of their new location, I felt so bad for him because I'm like, you're such a good dude. And it just seems like sometimes life has that way of throwing curveballs at good people.
Yeah.
But even his reaction to it, of just like, it was a blessing in disguise because that would have taken all my time away from my family.
Yeah.
I loved his perspective on it.
Yeah.
That was cool.
No, when he had mentioned that, I was baffled. I'm like, I did not know copper cost
Me
that much.
too.
But no, that's him. He's adaptable. He's resilient, and that's the kind of people we're looking to surround ourselves with at On a Gym. And so it's great that that's also represented at Toss too.
Yeah. So before we jump into the episode, let's give On It a quick spotlight.
Yeah.
What would be your pitch if there's someone like you or me who is listening? Maybe they just moved to Austin. They're a pretty active person, so they have, Gold's, LA Fitness, Lift ATX. There's so many gyms in the city, which is one of the things I love about it.
Yeah.
What do you think is special about On It? Why would you tell them, come check us out?
Yeah. So a lot of people, they hear of On It Gym because they've heard of On It, the brand.
Yep.
They've heard of Aubrey Marcus. They've heard of Joe Rogan. When they come to the gym, they take a tour. It is literally the physical manifestation of On It, the brand. And so you will see influencers. You will see, people like Juan Leha, Eric Leha, Francesca Fay. You'll see all of these folks, right? And you're walking through, you're seeing this art that you've seen in pictures on Instagram, but then they take a class. They get to know the people working in the front of house, which is, front desk, cafe. They get to talking with them, or they actually do a class and they're talking with everyone. Then they come to realize they want to be a part of the community. The On a Gym community is quite unmatched. It's, in my experience, in the different communities I've been a part of, like, I have never been a part of something that's like this. People meet their new best friend. People meet, a new contact for their business. People meet somebody that they check in with because they need an accountability partner. Just like the other week, we had an On a Gym social at Zilker Park.
Nice.
And completely free. Literally, all it was, everybody were meeting up at this time, bring games, bring snacks. Like there was probably like 70 or so people at that. And that's the thing. People stay for On a Gym because of the community and the fitness and programs that we all have and the different coaches we have. Like wherever anyone is in their fitness journey, they just need to show up as they are, and we will take it from there. That is what I would say makes On a Gym, the community, and just how we are able to take you to new levels, evolve beyond.
I love that. You're selling me on it. I go to Gold's right now, and even yesterday I went on a walk with some friends to the podcast right afterwards, and afterwards the podcast when I was getting ready for the gym, I was thinking that, do I want to go to this Gold's because I don't know anybody there and I feel like my social battery is pretty drained by this point, or do I want to go to the gym where all my friends are? Because even though I feel very tired and don't really want to talk anymore, I also wanted to be surrounded by people I know versus a gym full of strangers. So I went to the gym with all my friends at it, and I was really glad I did. Like, I still talked a little bit, didn't get as hard of a workout as I wanted to. But just knowing that, Gold's, I don't think they necessarily foster that. And that's not a knock on them, but they don't necessarily dive into the community aspect. It's more of, we're affordable. We have everything you need. Come here if you need like really easy, relatively cheap access to a fitness facility. But on it, you're making me want to swing through on like a 2-week guest pass or something and just see what it's like.
No, you definitely should. But anyone, I know there's wonderful gyms here, and even for me, I do like training by myself on occasion. It's so funny because before I started working On a Gym, I solely worked out alone, and when I started working with the gym, it's when I start doing all the classes or jumping in the 130 coaches workause and that's when I'm like, okay, now I need to be in that environment. Sometimes I'm still doing my like own thing and still focusing in because again, it's me against me when I'm training, but you have the encouragement of the other staff to help you get through a really tough workout. Like we have my favorite cardio. I mean, it's my least favorite cardio that we do, but it's called To Hell. And it's when you're doing like a number of cardio machines, and it's like 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 cals each. And then the other part is going back up to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 cals on each. And that was the first, like, just super hard for me. But it was doable because I had other women there with me, as well as our male coaches, like to get through it, even though it was hard.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I have this true cop out for not doing cardio is that I walk Thad twice a day. Each walk is about 30 minutes. And granted, I know I'm cheating myself because I don't even break a sweat most of the time unless it's like July that we're walking outside.
Yes.
So I know it's not like work, but in my head, I'm like, well, I already spend an hour a day walking. So I really need to go do, X amount of time when I'm at the gym? Nah, I'll just skip it. I'll go walk Thad for 5 extra minutes tonight or something.
Yeah, I think that's where, for my training, I've been focusing more on the longevity piece. I've been studying a lot more on just women's life cycles. I'm taking a prenatal and pregnancy course right now, coaching certification, and I've been learning a lot, and I'm interested in looking into menopause, and so understanding how to support women as well as support myself when that time comes. And so I know right now, yes, definitely need to keep walking my dog and going for jogs and getting cardio in, but also maintaining that resistance piece has been important. And so being surrounded by people who just literally get after it day in and day out has been incredible for even my own progress.
Yeah. Do you, I wasn't planning on asking you this, but the thought just sort of hit me. When I'm looking for guests on Instagram, there are thousands of men's coaches, like almost to a point where I'm not going to have any more men's coaches on because we've done a dozen of these episodes and I want to, do other stuff too and not just have like very similar conversations. I don't come across many women's coaches out there. Do you think there's a potential opportunity for women to get into coaching? Is there a gap there? Because it sure seems like there is.
Like there are women out there coaching. We definitely are building up our female roster as well to make sure we can serve anybody at any point of their life. I mean, for me, it was during the pandemic. Like I was, thriving actually being furloughed, but like that's where my interest in, because I've always been an enthusiast, but my interest in coaching came up. I had that time to actually study, and then was enjoying studying about the body and like movement. And being at On a Gym, I've learned how to really structure workouts to best serve everybody. But right now, like I would definitely say we could do for more female coaches, and I think that's what's been really cool is the women who are coming into the gym. Like we do have a lot of women who are private trainers, or they train virtually, and they are really building up their network, and they have a powerful message. The person who comes to mind is Tara LaFera. I hope I'm saying her name right. But like she just released her Broads app, and one of our longtime coaches, Katie Calloway, is joining that community, and they are really doing and serving our women as well. They are really showing, we are meant to take up space, and I think that's what we're doing. Like we are seeing more women step into the forefront of our fitness community, as well as like Claire Bays. She's
Yes.
well known with CrossFit, but like she is a phenomenal coach. She also released her own app not too long ago. She has a podcast, Conversations with Claire. She also, what is it? Wellness with Claire. She also has that app where people can connect with her and train with her. So yes, there are so many women who are now really stepping into the forefront and making sure like everyone has an opportunity to train.
Do you does Claire on it or work out on it? Do you know Claire?
Yeah, yes.
Did she happen to tell you about an event that she spoke at called Open Spaces back last October?
Yes, that was mentioned in Justin's podcast too. Yes, she was a part of it, and she told a bit about her story, fitness and personal life, and but yeah, I wasn't there. But I know I saw the videos, and like she talked to me later on about that experience. But she is genuine sunshine. Her personality really like brings joy to anything you go to her for. So if it's nutrition or fitness, like any of that, like she is definitely a wonderful person to have in your life.
She seems like it. Yeah, we only met for like maybe 60 seconds one-on-one afterwards, but I instantly got that energy from her of this is just someone who is full of positive energy, a hard worker. Like you could just see all those soft skills were just shining within her.
Yeah, and I think that's really what women are needing to see, is the joy behind making fitness a lifestyle, and seeing that it's attainable. Even if it's just, short workouts that you're fitting into your busy schedule. I really think that's what is standing out right now, is people are showing it's attainable to involve fitness in your life, no matter what you're doing, especially for women. Because, we have the messages out there, like, you have to do it all, or you got to find a way to do it all. But, like, we're showing that you can find a way to include it while balancing everything else. Like that's why supporting future moms is important to me, is because a lot of times when women are in postpartum, the focus becomes the baby, which naturally, of course,
right.
But also it's just making sure that the mom's taking care of that. The nutrition is on point. They are able to work through their own fitness, their pelvic health. Like all of that is so important for women to know that they have resources and that it is possible to involve fitness even in small amounts of time.
Yeah. I have a potentially fun icebreaker-esque question for you.
Okay.
In 2017, you did a cartwheel at work and broke your ankle.
Oh, yes, I did.
Where were you working at the time?
So after college, I went back home. So I went to college at San Francisco State University, and then went back home to Fairfield for just a couple years. I started working with kids. I worked at a child development center, and it was an after school program, and all the kids were doing cartwheels, and they were asking me to do a cartwheel, so I did in the gymnasium, and I slipped, and it was the first time I sprained my ankle, and then I'm like on the ground, all the kids come swarming me, and I'm like, please
It's
don't
like the
touch
last
me.
thing you want. You're like, I don't want all this attention.
Yeah, but no, it was funny in hindsight, but in that moment, I was like, go get one of the other instructors, please. But no, so I healed up pretty quickly, but that was a funny moment.
That was a gnarly picture.
Yeah, and I'm like, I didn't do that in grade school, and I'm over here in my like mid to late 20s spraining my ankle from doing
what am I doing?
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. I forgot about that.
That was a gnarly picture. Your ankle was like double the size of the other one, maybe even triple. I felt so bad.
Yeah. Oh, no, it was funny.
Is San Francisco home for you?
So it was a home for a period of time. I went to college there for about 5 years, and it's funny because I started with an interest in international affairs, but then I ended up with hospitality and tourism management with a minor in philosophy and religion. And while I was there, just I needed to do some of the general education, and just after a while I knew that like I want to plan events. I didn't know in what way, but I also was a resident assistant, and so I lived in the dorms and worked in the dorms as well as the school. And so while I was an RA, I was able to put on small events, which was actually a great opportunity to just start getting experience under my belt of doing the admin side of it and putting these small experiences on for the community, talking about, different topics about like health, or just giving them resources, or actually one of the cool things I was able to do was coordinate a field trip to a prison where those who joined us, they were able to interview folks. They were able to see the prison and kind of understand what the life inside was like. So that was actually a really cool experience.
Was that from this by chance?
Yes.
I'll throw this up on YouTube if you want to describe it, though, for the Spotify people.
Yes, so San Quentin Prison, which is very well known, that I had a family member who worked there, and my sister and I, from that photo, my sister and I went to tour, and just kind of understanding of what it was like, just to understand what my family, like what their work life was like. And then afterwards, I was talking with colleagues in the college setting, and the idea came up. So yes, we did that. We talked about the, those folks who get out of the prison system, like just that reform, the hardship of transitioning back out into society. And so it was a really holistic experience to be a part of, hear the conversations, and offer, resources and opportunities for people to continue getting plugged in.
Yeah. I'd be curious what your takeaway from that tour was, because long story short, I know some people who have wound up in prison, and, for them, the experience was that, they're 3 floors underground. They're in this 4x4 room that's not very big, with basically a cot, a toilet, a drinking fountain. There's no clocks, there's no windows, so you don't have any idea like what day or time it is. And it almost seems like, while it is punishment, that community is so important to humans that it almost seems wrong, like just to be put in that isolation. Because then when you do come out of it, whether you were in there for a week, 6 months, a year, I was just telling you yesterday, like I was panicking at the idea of being alone for like 4 hours, in the afternoon. And so there is something that this has been on my mind for like maybe 2 or 3 months since I talked with someone, but it didn't make me start thinking about just like, oh, I actually don't know how I feel about that kind of isolation. What were your thoughts after touring the facility? Did you see, coming out of it, what was your experience like, and did you have any thoughts about that particular prison?
Yeah, I have always been fascinated by how people interact. The really cool thing was being able to go to the yard area and see all of the different groups in their different areas, because you see it on TV, but seeing it in person definitely was an interesting experience. I had, they were explaining like why these certain folks were together, and like seeing people stop by the grocery spot, seeing people walking around the track. I think overall, though, that experience for me had more to do with understanding the family member who worked there and what he was going through day in and day out. And then, him coming home and understanding like what he put into it and why he came home exhausted a lot of times, because my father, my dad he worked there for like 16 years and retired, but he, the great part about him being out there, a fond memories, he would bring home these burritos. It's just a random thought, but yes, he'd bring home these burritos. They were fantastic. but just going there and like even seeing the kitchen and seeing everyone interact in the kitchen, or being able to interview folks and ask questions of like, how long they had been there, why they were there. And it was cool because like the first time I went out there was one gentleman who talked about his experience, and then the last time when I took a group out to tour this place, he explained how there was another tour where they asked him questions, interviewed him, and they set up like a court case for him, and he was able to get out, given his circumstances. I don't know all the details of it, but I just remember him being there, it not feeling right, and there was some like legal issues, and then at the end he was able to get out and make arrangements. The other things that were interesting was seeing the newspaper space. Like there was a newsroom where they would all work together in creating a newspaper for the prison that all the inmates were able to read, and it was able to go out, like you can read that newspaper. So it's really cool to see how they have a version of society where they can learn and take transferable skills outside and find a way back into society, and like, okay, hey, I was working here, I could find something outside to help there. And overall, I think it's just understanding my dad's work life, as well as understanding what it was like to be behind San Quentin prison.
Yeah. That your dad sounds like a cool guy.
Yes, he. So you had mentioned this previously. So I grew up with my my stepdad, Tyree Holt, and he was in the military. I come from a military family, and he was in there for about like 22 years. He retired in the Army, and then worked a few different jobs until he started working as a correctional officer, and then ended as lieutenant for San Quentin. And he honestly, he passed in 2020, which was actually a pivotal point in leading to me moving out here to Austin. But the one thing about my dad is he taught us kids, hard work, discipline. And one thing I appreciated at the time when he passed was all of the support his colleagues extended, and what they said about him being fair and stern. He was somebody that people would go to for support, and he was he was exactly what the troops needed. Like he was able to take what he learned in the military to support the folks there. And I know it was definitely a hard job, and one thing that has guided me from here is just keeping in mind what all he has done, and keeping to the skills that I learned from him growing up, because it's definitely served me, while also finding balance and learning my own groove when it comes to working.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have a picture of you from when you were very young.
Oh boy.
And you were being very dramatic.
Oh.
Do you remember this one?
Yeah, I was at my grandma's, I believe.
How old were you in this
Oh
picture? Do
boy.
you remember? Do you know?
It's like 4 or 5.
So young.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was definitely a photogenic baby.
You were.
I've always been very like I make faces all the time. No, it's just like one of those things where like if I make a facial expression, it's almost exaggerated what I'm feeling inside. But no, I've always been animated. Oh, that's so cute.
What's one of your, if you can go back like as far as your memory will allow you to, what's one of your earliest memories?
Let's see. This is only coming up because I stepped in an anthill recently.
Uh-oh.
So when I was a kid, we were military, like I mentioned. We moved around a bit, but I lived in Killeen, Texas for a little bit of time. But there were always anthills, and I remember sitting in an anthill.
Oh.
But like just recently, I went to tour a client's home because she's gonna have her wedding there, and remember just we were standing there, and all of a sudden I like felt something on my foot, and I looked down and I have like fire ants all over my foot. But yeah, when I was a kid, I lived in Killeen, Texas for a number of years before we moved out to California.
Yeah, I didn't know. In California, being born and raised there, we had ants, obviously,
Yeah.
but they were pretty harmless. They were more annoying than anything else.
Yes.
When I moved to Texas, there was one day in my first summer where I was walking Thad and I wore sandals, and at one point during the walk, I felt like an itchy feeling,
Yeah.
and I didn't think anything of it, and then it started to hurt. So I looked down, and there was these 5 ants that were, you know, not huge, but like bigger than your average California ant.
Yeah.
And they were biting me. And so I flicked them all off. And then the next day I woke up and I felt my foot like stinging a little bit.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and there was all these red marks from all the places
Yeah.
they had bit me. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
I'm not in California anymore.
Yeah, no. But yeah, as far as earliest memories, it would probably be, probably I'm like 4 or 5. That's when I was here in Texas for a little bit in Killeen. My dad was transitioning out of the military around that time.
Here's one of you when you were a little bit older with some of your high school friends.
Yeah.
Do you remember most of these folks?
Yes, I do.
Where were you? Where did you go to high school?
So I went to Armio High School in Fairfield, California. That's where I grew up. So we've always been active. So like if we're not in school, like we were swimming on the weekends, or as we working. I worked at the Travis Air Force Base commissary as a bagger for a great number of years. But outside of all that, I was in band.
Me too.
Yeah, and I played trumpet, and then I also did drum line. So I played bass drum, that giant drum that you have in front of you. And but yes, I was in band, and so that picture is a group of us that stayed pretty connected after high school. Yeah, it's been really cool to see all of us growing up and just kind of keeping tabs on social media, people getting married, having kids, and yeah, that's so funny. I was in band like all 4 years of high school, and so yeah, I played trumpet and did marching band, and it's its own culture. It was great. I had such great memories. I went on a trip to Europe. My band instructor, she was a part of this group, and all together, like, we all went out to Europe. We went to 7 different countries, where we played just different music. And funny thing, there was supposed to be a choir. However, not enough people signed up to do the choir, so everybody in band who joined this trip also were a part of the choir. And so that's where I learned I was a soprano. And so yeah, I was singing over in Europe as well as playing the trumpet. But no, I loved being a part of band and drumline, and just the culture and the people and all the funny stories and lessons. But yeah, and then outside of band and that life, I was also a competitive swimmer. I did high school swimming, and then outside of that, I was a part of a club team. And so I was waking up at like 4 in the morning to either go swim or lift and then go to school and then go back and do swim practice again. And that was like a couple of years in high school outside of just like high school swimming. I absolutely loved it. I've always been a part of like being one of the guys, right? Because like a lot of times when the female swimmers were doing water polo, I did not have interest in doing water polo. But when they were out, like it was just me and the guys like training in the gym before school and then doing swimming after. So I've always been a part of that culture. So it is funny that at this point in my life I am back again with the guys, but I really have enjoyed building the female community, being a part of that. But no, those folks are fantastic people who've, you know, they're kind of like lighthouses. They are definitely people to look back to and, you know, being able to connect with them and to hear how they're doing and growing.
Yeah. That's awesome. I unfortunately have not stayed in touch with many people from high school. I couldn't tell you what they're up to, but that's cool that you kept those ties in place.
Yeah. It's not easy, but it's definitely really nice too when the time comes up.
Yeah. Where what was growing up like for you? And part of it is I know that you were adopted at some point.
Yeah.
So what was home life in sort of early stages in like middle school, high school?
Yeah. So parents were military. My mom, she stepped out when she had me, and then she got together with my stepdad, and basically they brought their families together, and he adopted me, which I am forever grateful for that. The opportunities and everything, the life, the lessons, the blessings, I always say, all of it was fantastic. You know, we were able to, you know, spend so much time outside. We were able to enjoy like fun outings. You know, like I mentioned, it was a military family, so it was a strict environment growing up, but that really supported me in maintaining discipline after. And I would say, like, let's see, I was technically the oldest, and then I had 2 siblings, but technically I have like 9 siblings altogether. Oh, wow. So I have my Samoan side of the family, which they are currently out in Samoa. And I've, you know, met with them, which it's really cool how those relationships have grown over the years, meeting with my Samoan family as well as my immediate. Yeah, I've got a younger sister. She is a PA, and so she's in the medical field, which is really cool for her to be a part of that, and then me in the fitness scene. I have another sibling, Quinn, who is working in technology and actually is very involved. I don't quite know, but it's a card game, Magic, where it's this whole thing. Doing well in that. But yes, it's really interesting how we all had our childhood in the same environment, but like we have gone in such different directions. Still serving people in the way that our parents raised us to be is to support anyone that we can.
Yeah, your sister, she graduated from San Diego State with a degree in kinesiology, right?
That, you know what, right now it's escaping me. I don't think it was kinesiology, but after San Diego State, she did go into a physician assistant program. So yeah, she was in the medical, all along the medical field. But yes, she is definitely thriving in her own way over in Florida.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did most of the siblings sort of spread out over time, or are a lot of them still in?
Yeah, most of us, like, I have one sibling back in California. I've got one in the Midwest. I've got my sister in Florida. I have a brother and his family down in San Antonio, which has been really nice to connect with him. I had another brother on my Samoan side. He actually just moved back out to Samoa earlier this year with our parents. And then, yeah, we're just all in our own little areas. It's so cool.
Me and my family did the same thing. Yeah. I have two still in California, one north, one south, one in Oregon, one in New York, and then I'm here in Texas. So we sort of did the same thing, and we were all like, I think we all had similar feelings, which was Sacramento was great, but it's one of those things. It's like we have
Yeah.
this great big world out here, and I think so
Yeah.
many people have a hard time leaving family because it almost feels wrong in a
Yeah.
way. Like, am I really gonna leave all of them and be the one lone ranger to head out to wherever? But my sister did it first. She went to Boston, and then my brother went to Oregon, and then I went to Texas, and then my sister from Boston made a change to New York, and we're all happy and thriving, and
Yeah.
we go home 3 or 4 times a year to see everyone, and yeah, it's cool. I'm glad we branched out. I think it's been good for all of us, and hopefully for
Yeah.
your family as well.
Yeah, it's definitely funny to come together and then share all our stories of what every city that we're coming from is like. And no, like we're all definitely busy right now, and it has been a little harder to get together, but when we do it, it's kind of how it goes. Like it feels like after at least a day, it feels like nothing's changed. Like, yeah,
That's awesome.
we just met up the other day, right? But yeah.
On March 27th, excuse me, 2016, after 5 years, you got to see your Samoan parents and younger sister on Skype. What was that 5 year gap due to? Just technology not existing yet, or?
Yeah, school. In Samoa, it's tech. I feel like there was a technology thing. I think it was also I was busy really in school and just so focused in on that. But yes, being able to reconnect with my Samoan family after college has definitely brought a lot of gratification, and it's been cool to see my nieces and nephews as they've gotten older. My Samoan family has definitely taught me a lot and brought a lot of perspective when it comes to like the quality of family and quality of life. They've always been advocates of making sure I'm taking care of myself and keeping, in hindsight, life is short, and to make the most of it and what you have, and making sure that you are coming back to your family. And that's something I've really been gracious for and tried to keep in mind, even during this season of my life.
Yeah. Based off different places that you've lived at and traveled to, does Samoa seem to place a higher emphasis on family than other cultures do?
Yeah, they definitely are family focused. With my Samoan family, it's like it's literally a clan. It's like my father is one of the elders in our family clan, and everyone like contributes to the family. And it's so funny because it's similar to my stepdad's side of the family, where every year they have family reunions and they're all coming together. The women in my stepdad's side of the family, like they like it is the matriarchy, like they are keeping the family, they are the foundation of it, and connecting and all of that. So yes, I've definitely like it, you see how important the family is. And the one thing my dad says to me, we may not be rich in money, but we are rich in blood, family. And so at any point, like, you have someone to go to for any kind of support.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What made you decide to go to San Francisco specifically for school?
Well, after high school, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but
You didn't have it all figured out?
no. No.
Like we're expected to?
I know.
What do you want to do with your life at
Yeah.
18 years old? Rest of your life right now.
I considered the military, but all in all, I ended up going to SF State when it came down to like the financial means and what worked best there. But San Francisco State was definitely a great option. I was a little over an hour away from family, so I was far enough for that independence,
Yes.
but close enough like I just want to go home and check in on fam. Yeah.
What I visited San Francisco, but I haven't lived there. Where's the university in relation to the city? Is it in the city?
It is on the outskirts on the south side, which I loved. It's like right next to Daly City.
Okay, yeah.
And it was by a lake, which I loved going on runs around that lake. But I loved that it was on the outskirts. So it was like at any point, like I want to experience city life, you could just hop on Muni and BART and head to the center. But then if I wanted to explore, you could even go further south to like Mountain View, and you could explore out to like San Jose. So there was so many options. Kind of what Austin reminds me of a little bit. Like I live on the south side, like further south, and so it's like you're close enough to just go into the center of the city, but far enough away to feel like, okay, we're in the suburbs. It's like
Yes.
a little bit of the suburbs, but like it's a calmer atmosphere.
That's what I like about living up here.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
the
this is
city's
great.
20 minutes away, but you don't feel like you're in it at all
Yeah.
when you're up here.
Yeah.
What was it like living in San Francisco for, I'm assuming, about 4 years, give or take?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's where the love of food really came into picture, right? I just started trying so many different cuisines, spices and seasonings. I was able to,
Hey,
but yeah, I was able to explore just different places,
Dad.
museums.
Sorry. Hey,
Okay.
it was just the trash man. Hey, Thad. Oh, it's actually Brooke. Hello, Brooke. Hey, my fierce little protector. You're fine. All right, sorry.
All good. But yes, with San Francisco, I was able to just go try different cuisines, check out just different museums and places, hike different areas. I met so many people, and I really appreciated everything that everyone brought into my life. Being in that mixed pot opened my eyes. I mean, Fairfield, where I was coming from, it's fairly mixed. It's definitely changed and grown over the years. But going into San Francisco, it felt like a whole different ball game. But also, going to college is a bubble in it of itself, and it was just cool to hear everyone's different ideals and take from it what felt right, and then going from there and finding like what resonated most with me. But yeah, I loved the culture in every little area of San Francisco.
Who is one of the I don't want to say coolest, but who is one of the for lack of a better term, one of the coolest people that you met when you were in San Francisco?
I'm like, I have to dig up. I am blinking, but I would have to say I'm thinking about a teacher right now. So I took it was like science and philosophy, or African science and philosophy, and that was the hardest class. I still have the book from that class, but it was absolutely fascinating to learn that perspective of life and history. And I don't know where he is at in his life now, but he was a very impactful teacher. So yeah, I think he was a really cool person to me. I think of the different mentors I had, like they all made such a big impact. And during college was when I interned at Castella di Amorosa Winery, which is where I worked before I moved out here. I interned there while I was at SF State, so that was actually a pretty cool opportunity, and I got to meet so many people there. But no, I think when it came to college, it wasn't so much like big names or anything, but it was really the quality of people that I got to meet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did I write down the date? I didn't, but you might know where I think this was from early on in your Instagram, so probably like 2015, 2016. But you had a post, and you were reflecting on the fact that 4 years ago, your brother told you, I'm going to butcher this. How do you say the phrase on your shirt?
Fa'amalosi.
Thank you, which means be strong.
Yeah.
You mentioned it has always meant a lot to you. 2 years ago, he went to Afghanistan. Your second nephew was born. And on your 22nd birthday, you got a gift to yourself, which was you got it tattooed on your arm.
Yes. Actually, just on the same arm. So Fa'amalosi is be strong in Samoan. That has just kind of been my guiding light in life. No matter what season you're in, no matter what that looks like, aim to be strong. For me, it's more my mental health than anything that I have worked on, and I think because of that journey, like I feel stronger today. Circumstances look different, but I feel strong still. And at that time, I needed something as a guiding light to push through and move through life. And so Fa'amalosi, when my brother said that to me, it's almost like a prayer to me in a small way, to remind myself of the kind of person I want to be. And when I think of, my parents, when I think of the people whose stories were shared with me in college or even to this day, I just love the idea of being strong can look so different in any season of your life.
Yeah. For the audience, unfortunately, there's a lot of I'll use a word that, that my guest yesterday said. CJ said there's a lot of people that are really sad out there right now.
Yeah.
And you had made a post in 2017 that you had been going through some struggles and whatnot. When did mental health become important to you, or we could even use another term? And how have you grown through it? And is there anything from your own experiences that you'd be willing to share with the audience of
Yeah.
what the story was, and maybe how being strong came into it, and how you came out on the other side,
Yeah.
and how you look at those scenarios now?
Yeah. Essentially in college, you it was a time frame where like a lot of past traumas and whatnot were really heavy on me, and it's one of those where I finally started getting into therapy. I finally started working on just a lot of things that everyone naturally says, yes, do the thing, but it's more proactive in taking the steps, and it all interconnects. So like, for example, I started working out like I went through a depression in college towards the end there, and what helped me from like the physical side was I started working out in my bedroom for 30 minutes by myself. Like I gained a lot of weight because I was also, I was eating a lot of food, and that's how I was coping. I did not have the strongest coping skills, and today I would like to say I definitely have stronger coping skills, but back then I really didn't, or I wasn't using them because I wasn't seeing people and who were using those coping skills, and it was actually working. So yeah, I started working out by myself. I started seeing a therapist, and I was around the time I started working with kids, and the beautiful thing about working with kids is just that curiosity, and they're completely honest. And I was also having to move because we were playing outside, and so like that brought a lot of joy. I was reconnecting with a lot of family, some old friends, and all of that together helped me. So come 2018, my dad retired, him and my mom moved out to Texas, and I ended up going to Castello di Amoroso Winery, and so I continued those small habits. I started eating better, and so all of that together was helping me feel loads better. It really is the whole start with small steps first, just small things on a daily basis. And there's you can at the top you see all those highlights, but there's a lot of like different highlights on food, and I used to really showcase everything I was eating, but I will go back to it to remind myself, okay, what was I eating? Can I like have this now? Because I feel like I need to get back on that bandwagon. So yeah, that also connecting with family, connecting with friends. When I was at Castello di Amoroso, it was a great job. It was a fun time. It was also hard. It was hard work, and if it wasn't for my counterpart, Angie, she was a phenomenal person, but we were very there for each other, sorry. We were there for each other, and as well as, I can't remember his last name, but like Julio and Baldo, like it was a close-knit team. And so during that season, I was very focused on work, and so outside of work, that was the period of time where I was going to the gym by myself. And so it was just really pursuing things that brought me joy. It was taking myself on solo dates, like just going out to have coffee by myself and just enjoying some peace and quiet. Still working with a therapist during that time. Coming out to Austin, I think I would have to say, like, the period of time I've been out here, which I'm approaching about 4 years, the amount of growth in these past 4 years would probably equate like 20 to 30, my 20s. So like 10 years of growth would equate what has happened in the last 4 years. And that is really just me getting the center of all of the communities I'm a part of today. It's the people a part of my work, it's the people outside of it, it's the connections I've made. All of it has helped my mental health. You know, I mentioned at Castello de Amorosa, hard work. I had some people, but I didn't have genuine like friends, or I didn't have family that lived close enough. And so, hard experiences like the glass fire in 2020, that was an interesting time. So like there were 2 fires relatively back to back, but the second fire, like I had to evacuate for about a month and a half, and I just did not have family. But I knew, like, I actually went to a gym to shower because I had to evacuate where I live. So I went to a gym that was far enough away, showered there. I went to work, and then I had a coworker offered her place so that I could go stay with her. And so, like, I wouldn't be here without the connection of people. That is probably what's been the most profound part of my mental health, is connecting with people. And she, like, when we were out there, I was also processing, my dad passing. I was processing the, like, do I still want to continue what I'm doing here, or do I want to venture out? I did want to live closer to my family who were here in Texas. And so, that was a pivotal point. All of this, when it comes to my mental health, the strength of it has come down to being there for others. I wanted to be there for my mom. I wanted to find ways to give back in more healthy ways. Like, my values changed when it came to events. I wanted to focus the events on health and wellness and just connection, without another focus on like wine or something like that. So with the values and recognizing what I really enjoyed and what brought me joy, that's what really helped me over time, is being more authentic, being like coming to realize what I actually cared about, and really getting behind what I cared about and doing the work to make those changes.
3 of your favorite values are family, freedom, and respect.
Yeah.
We talked about family
Yeah.
a lot. We've talked about, we've touched on family today.
Yeah.
What about freedom and respect? And I know that you've made, in terms of freedom, you also made a post on February 22nd, which is Shine a Light on Slavery Day, which does include trafficking, exploitations, and enslavements of both adults and children. And at the time, as of 2018, there were still 87% of nations that have that happen, including the United States. Even just, I listened to, this is going to sound weird, but even I listened to a podcast on the porn industry the other day, and even just hearing about like how that worked and how they get children involved, it was such a tough episode to listen to, because you're listening to it and you're thinking like, there's no way this is going on. Like, this is fake. This is all made up. But it's real. So I guess on the freedom one, how did that become a value to you and sort of become something that was top of mind for you at the time?
Yeah, I think college, all of the programs and the different RAs, like that they would put these different programs on where you're focused in on these different causes, and during that time that cause had come to the forefront. And so finding ways to give back, because outside of bringing recognition of that cause, like the Wounded Warrior Project is something I support, but I know that philanthropy is something that's important to me, and I am making small steps even to this day to find a way to give back and support with what I have. Freedom for me, it really is the freedom to be authentic and the freedom to have a positive embodiment of yourself. There have been so many different circumstances with family members that I have listened to, and I want to be able to prepare people in the future, you know, if something were to happen, like not just the other weekend, funny enough, I did Tim Kennedy's or Sheepdog's protector course.
Yes, I've heard of that.
I actually did the other weekend, and you know, that was a very insightful experience of where I have yet to grow, but also walking away with confidence. That team there was fantastic. They definitely they encouraged fortitude and really pushed me even when like it was just a hard experience for me. And so being able to experience that, and then it's so funny you brought this up because literally this week I was talking to this gal, and we came to realize like our circles like overlap so many areas of our life, and she owns her own business, and like 10% of her proceeds goes to the Magdalena House here in Austin, which supports, I believe it's like women who have experienced domestic violence or sex traffic, or they have been sex trafficked, sorry. And so, you know, I'm talking with her about just ways to support, one, that cause, and two, just bring awareness to it so that women overall are just prepared and they have resources and education and awareness of what they can, like the people they can go to, or businesses or programs that can support them. And so yeah, this year definitely, I know I've brought it up like a few times, like support women, but for me it's not a New Year's resolution, but it's for sure I want to be more a gal's gal, right? It's so many women in my life in the last 4 years that I've been in Austin have given so much to me when it comes to my confidence, it comes to well-being, the kind of person I want to be, really challenging that mindset. And with everything that I have gotten from them, I want to give it back out, because that's really like, you know, it's like learning. You can only learn if you know how to, like, if you can teach it, like you're learning it again, right? And so like all of this that have been given to me, I want to give it out, because there are so many people who are still struggling and going through those hard experiences.
What is the Sheepdog protection course?
So that was introduced to me by Hannah Eden, and she did a women's event where she did a free workout at On a Gym, and or a community workout at On a Gym, and then we went to 10th Planet right after. And Sheepdog Response, they led a situational awareness course, and then they did, essentially it's jiu-jitsu. They taught us hand-to-hand combat and just different moves that we can do in various positions in the event, like a woman's attacked, right? And that experience was hard because of the stress. Like it's a controlled environment, but they created stress, and it was for us to learn about how we're gonna show up in a hard situation like that. And you know, with what I have experienced and what I've witnessed growing up, like it was a hard time to go through it, but and like there are still things that I remember from the first one. And so I wanted to do the second one so that I could really feel and understand, like, okay, where have I grown? Where do I still need to grow? And so I did that again previously, and really the tools that any woman that walks away from that course is going to benefit them tenfold. And I, you know, it's in my brain finding a way to connect with them again, but like connect them in a couple other companies so that to do this bigger vision event that I have in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is that course open to the public?
That is open, yes. So there's they have a number of courses, like whether it's, there's the protector course level 1, and then level 2 they have intermediate pistol work. They have a trauma course that I'm actually interested in, so that you can learn how to take care of someone in the event trauma has happened. And let's see, those were the dry fire. My boyfriend and I are looking at the dry fire course, but all of these are really just to give you tools so that you can support yourself and protect yourself in various situations.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept, because oftentimes we don't think about the fact that when you are in a situation where you need to rely on those skills, you're not
Yeah.
expecting it and you've never practiced for it before,
Yeah.
and you might go into that flight, fight, or freeze mode.
Yeah.
But if you've practiced it, then even though, like you said, it's maybe rough to get through, at the
Yeah.
same time you've been in it, and so then if it happens in real life, your brain, instead of going into like freeze mode or flight mode, you have some other tools that you can harness in that moment.
Yeah, and in those experiences, I know like freezing is natural for me, but I think it was funny because the other day someone was doing something, and like I naturally was already going into the motion of what I learned from that course, or even just simply the situational awareness piece. Literally just looking around more, being mindful, and actually remembering, okay, this is who I saw around me when I went into the store. It's just those small details and just having it at the forefront of your brain, like just to be mindful
Yeah.
and being present so that are you in a good situation? Is there anything that feels off?
Yeah.
Well, then you know what you could do.
Have you ever heard of a guy named Gavin D. Becker?
Actually, no.
He wrote a book called The Gift of Fear. Does that ring a bell?
No, it does not yet.
He had
but I will probably read it after.
You should. It's an easy read. It's a really good book. But one of the chapters he's talking about just observation, and the way he opens the chapter is if a woman is walking through a park filled with 100 people and she has two headphones in, and maybe she even has her head down because that's how she's trying to keep herself safe, is look like not obvious or I'm busy. She's not going to know anything about the 100 people that are in the park. But if she takes even one of her headphones out and she keeps her head up instead of looking at the ground, and she observes everyone in the park, of those 100 people, she might be able to deduce like 50 people are parents and their kids playing on the playground. Those 20 people are, if you're at Zilker, like on dates, playing volleyball, soccer, they're probably not dangerous.
Yeah.
And by the time she gets to the end of the other end of the park, instead of having 100 potential threats, she's really narrowed it down to like the 2 people that might be an actual threat because she was observing the park as she walked through it. And even just that simple analogy made me think, like, I'm never walking outdoors with 2 headphones in again. Like, I'm always going to be 1 headphone out at minimum.
Very guilty.
And observe. We all are. I mean, it's 2025.
Yeah.
Everyone. Even when I go to like HEB, it does sort of. When I see people with headphones in, I'm like, come on, take one out. You never know if you might walk past a friend, a family member, a threat. Like, you're missing all of it if you have both headphones in.
Yeah, I'm thinking about when I go on my dog walks. Like, she is scrappy. Like, she would be protecting, but I am more so her emotional support human. So I need to be Miss Protector. So I also had that at the forefront of my brain when I was doing that course. But no, I am very guilty of having my earphones in, but I am more cautious of looking just around. I mean, in college, I definitely was running in the middle of the night at the track, and that's not safe. And so there are many experiences when I think hindsight, like, what were you thinking, kid? Like, but no, just with life experiences and then going through that course, there is definitely a level of awareness now, and that's just, if giving that to somebody is what I can do, like, that's perfect. That's what I want to be able to do, is just give.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
And it's, one of my friends was telling me once that giving is almost, in some ways, it's almost a selfish act, because you feel so good being able to see someone else's life elevate because of your efforts, whether you were listening to them, did them a favor, whatever it was that you did. Just the feeling that comes back to you of like satisfaction and pride and making a friendship even stronger than it was before. There's just so many benefits to having a giving, abundant mindset versus having like a scarcity mindset of, I mean, those are two very, very extremes.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up, because like, that's probably what I've worked hard on when it comes to my mental health, is getting out of that scarcity mindset, getting out of a victim mindset, and focusing in on abundance. And like, there is opportunities for everybody, and finding ways to connect people in that way. And that is my favorite thing to like argue, is like, you're still selfish, but and even for myself. But that's where I'm like, the intention behind it. I am more mindful of what is your intention by giving this? Like, is it for a greater cause? Is it for a bigger meaning? Or it is okay to feel good about giving, but at the end of the day, is the intention like good?
Yeah.
And so yes, that's definitely something I always check in. I'm like, yeah, you did the good thing, but like was it just for you to feel good, or was it genuinely something to serve somebody and help them? So yeah. It's definitely a slippery slope there.
I have a ridiculous question for you. Let's say you could snap your fingers and with the snap of your fingers solve any one problem on Earth. What problem do you think you would solve?
Oh my gosh, I think right now getting people off their phones.
I love that answer.
Yeah, well, for me, like, so much of my job is connecting it and like check social media, all of that. But like, there's so many times where I miss the days when the phone just wasn't always there. And then also when it comes, when we're talking about safety and whatnot, but like you have your phone and your like peripheral like comes down to maybe 3 feet around you. So like, if there is something I would help, I think it's just bringing the attention away from being so sucked into phones. And like, there's so much knowledge, like so much happening, and just it's like bringing back to where my family would say, like, we have this one life, and it's short. Like, it's a long life, but it is short. And so trying to be present with those around you, there's something I would work on, is like helping people, like, just let's stop zoning into our phones and really widen our horizon and connect with people.
Yeah, I've been a couple of my friends try to host a dinner about twice a month, and when I've been going to that, they have a pretty large table next to their front door, and what I'll do is I'll leave my phone on it, and it's just a way of trying to, first off, like, give myself a break of like, am I really going to get any messages that are going to be needing immediate attention the next 2 hours? Probably not. And it is a weird thing, like how many times I went to grab for it, even if it's an innocent thing, like someone mentioned like, oh, what year did that movie come out? It's so instinctual just to be like, oh, I can Google that real quick. But it's sort of refreshing, if you have an excuse to put your phone away for a couple hours every day. It'll be hard because we're so used to it being attached to us 24/7, but it's nice. Have you been doing anything to try to stay off your phone more?
Yeah, for me, it's keeping it out of my bedroom.
I like that one.
Yeah. Trying to keep it out of my bedroom at night, just one, so I can go to sleep earlier. Because, yes, I can fall into that trap of scrolling. But also, when I go for walks, yes, I do still take my phone, but I try to put it away so that I could just focus in. And there are times I'll go without music or anything, so I can really be present and listen to just nature. For my phone, one of the hard things I've definitely balanced is the boundary when it comes to work, because I just have my one self, right? And it's become part of the culture of working where everyone's connecting on their phones, and so it's like so many people have access to me, and so I've had to really like sit in with the thoughts of like, I do appreciate being accessible to like family and my colleagues, but then it gets to a point like, okay, how accessible do I really need to be? Like, is there ways like I can, pause and like, hey, we can get back to this at a time. We can connect at work. So it's definitely been a trial and error in finding that balance when it comes to my work life and phone.
Yeah, same here, especially with like the podcast studio being in my home. It's like very much in my face. So I try to if I'm not going to the kitchen, I try to like almost keep my back to this corner, not because I don't like it, but just because it's like, woo, it's right here.
Yeah, and like keeping my desk space downstairs and not in the bedroom so that I don't see all of my work related things. I keep it separate from my bedroom. It's also like making sure what was that one thing it's even like my fitness stuff, like keeping that in a different space, just making sure there's one area where I know the purpose of that room, And that's helped me in just kind of decompartmentalizing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you decide to move to Austin?
So 2020 pandemic.
Great
I was
year.
furloughed. Yeah. I know a lot of people, and there were some moments where it was hard for me, but for the most part, I was thriving. Had a garden,
Heck
like it was,
yeah.
Brussels sprouts, cilantro. I had salsas like every other day. It was great.
Homemade sauce is
Yeah.
the best.
And then I just started working out with the equipment I had. I literally was using my suitcases, and because the power kept going out in Napa Valley, we had like water jugs, and so I was putting water jugs in suitcases, doing deadlifts and lunges with them, and so all of that. And then I was reading more during that time, and then I just had the thought of, what if I actually, got my NASM certification. And I'd been following On It and On It Gym for a while, and just inspired by all of it, because it also had helped me in my journey of getting back on track with my health and fitness. And so I did that certification, and when it came time, like, I was looking for jobs. Like, I was mostly looking for event jobs, but then it came down to On a Gym had posted on Instagram that they were hiring for a front desk, and so I sent in my cover letter and resume. Funny enough, I came out here Mother's Day weekend. I did a class at On a Gym, and afterwards flew back home. When I landed, they called me and asked to do an interview, and so I did 2 or 3 virtual interviews, and at that point they offered me the job. And so within a month, it was literally June to July, I packed everything up, sold things, put in my month notice to my job, and moved out here to Austin.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. You moved
Yeah.
out for On It.
Yeah, it was that, and like being closer to family, and just a little bit of a change. But yes, it was a leap of faith that's really like been a blessing.
Yeah. I know you had put a couple of topics down on your form, and I meant to copy and paste them onto here, and I think I completely blinked too. Is there anything in particular that's been top of mind for you in 2025 that we haven't touched on?
For this year, I mentioned earlier the Gals Gal.
Yep.
I think this year it's more just the audacity of creating, honing in on my creativity when it comes to connecting folks, providing resources, expanding the ways in which I can be of service to people, helping grow the team that I have at the gym, and then helping people grow out around me. So it all really comes down to continuing to be of service and supporting others. Yeah. I think that's really what this year is going to be for me.
When you had mentioned earlier that you've experienced so much growth in Austin, has outside of the resources that On It and its communities have provided to you, is there anything else about the culture of the city that has helped you improve as a person over the last 4 years?
Yeah, I think the generosity, and like literally people say hi to you when you're going around, and people will listen. I know this good weather really helps.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, outside of gym life and outside of family, I know I've mentioned that I've been a part of a recovery community, and so connecting with everybody there has helped me grow, and all those new friendships, the different experiences I have been able to be a part of, all of that has helped my growth. And I think it's just a shift in mindset, listening to people rather than, talking all the time and giving my experiences, just really sitting and listening and giving that attention. All of that has really helped me in my growth. the support of my family in all the wild ideas that I come up with. And, in this season, I definitely feel more busy, but I have a really supportive partner. We've been together like 2-ish years, but I would not be able to do and like all that I do without his support. And I think that's really what's been the difference, is feeling more confident in who I am and what I feel set out to do, the people that I am connecting with, having more genuine connections. All of that has helped my growth.
Yeah. Let's say there happens to be someone listening who has been having their own personal thoughts of getting plugged into the recovery community. If they live in Austin, what's the best way to do that?
A lot of that is just literally talking to anybody who has a struggle in their life. When it comes to plug into recovery, it's really, for me, it was finding people who were sharing about their own experience that aligned with my own. And once I connected with them and we expanded that from there, that helped a lot. It's being able to reflect, and find those experiences that resonate. I think really that's what helped me, was just talking to people where because a lot of people in recovery, they're open to chatting.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you hear someone who's experiencing something, I know it's unnerving, but just making that first step of asking a question about their life and listening completely.
Yeah. It was funny, probably about 2 months ago, I was in the gym and the guy in the bench next to me, I forget if he waved or how he like got my attention, but I took my headphones out and he introduced himself, I introduced myself, and then he gave me his quick like 2 minute elevator pitch on how he was drinking and using drugs by the time he was like 12, selling by the time he was 14, first DWI by 16, in jail by 17, clean and sober by 19. And like, it was a wild 2 minutes. And it did make me, the reason I bring that up is because when you mentioned that people in Austin are more open to talking, meeting strangers, even just that, I wondered if maybe he tries to share his story with people. So that way, if he does happen to come across someone who is in the middle of their own suffering, they can sort of be like, oh, well, here's someone I can talk to. But it was just such a cool, brave introduction on his part. And I didn't see a lot of, even like what you were saying about people just greeting you. In Northern California, when I greeted people, and this is probably partly due to the pandemic, if me and someone were like taking our trash out at the same time and I said hi to them, they'd almost look at me like I was crazy. Like, why are you talking to me? But in Austin, it's not like that at all. You can so easily strike up a conversation with someone in line at HEB, at Zilker Park. Like, people here are just, they're down to talk. You just sometimes have to make that first move to say hello and then see where it goes from there.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's quite interesting that he just openly gave a pitch.
It was wild, but it was really cool.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of times, that connection when it comes to that area of my life, it's more someone is aware of my life and the lifestyle I live, and they know someone that needs help, and so they connect me in that manner. And a lot of times it's just I listen and plug in what I can share when the person is able to take that pause and be ready to hear. But yeah, it's definitely something I am mindful of when it comes to what I share and how often. It really is down to the person in making the change. When they're ready, they will be able to take away the information. And so being open here, it being so open here, it's just really cool to see that everyone has more awareness of the support they can get.
Yeah. What are you most excited for, either in the next week, 6 months, 12 months, whatever duration of time? Anything on the horizon for you that you're really looking forward to working on or seeing evolve?
Yeah, the girl one of my clients I'm training right now. I am also her wedding planner,
Heck
and
yeah.
she's getting married next month, and at the end. So that I've been looking forward to. We're wrapping up the little details, and so her wedding will take place, and then I have another client, her wedding's at the end of this year, and so the place that I experienced the fire ants, like we were checking out her home because that's going to be her wedding venue, but her wedding's at the end of the year, so I'm looking forward to that. I think, let's see, outside of those, I definitely want to find somewhere nearby to travel to, just like have a nice little getaway. But no, I think it's, that wedding coming up. I'm really looking forward to it.
Are you still actively wedding planning or are you taking on new clients, or is it more sort of a side thing that you do at the moment?
It is a side thing that I do, primarily working on a gym and then being a private trainer. Most of the clients I've had, like, it's, folks at the gym who are getting married. And I just like being able to support them and celebrating that milestone. But yes, I do take on wedding clients on the side. And there's another coworker of mine whose wedding I did a couple years back. So yes, it's just kind of like when it feels right and it's fitting, and that's where I usually like, all right, let's do this. Let's plan your wedding. It's always fun, the whole experience.
You like it?
Yeah, I mean, anything that I could do to help the planning experience be smooth and fun, I think that's what I see a lot of, just people talking about how stressed out they are planning their wedding. Like, I think folks forget, like, you want to enjoy the process of it, and then on wedding day you don't want to think about all the details. You want to enjoy it, and so that's where I love being able to support and plug in.
This is funny that this came up today, because at 10:45 I got a call from one of my buddies who just asked his girlfriend to marry him about
exciting.
5 days ago. And he was like, hey, could we take you out to lunch today? And I was like, unfortunately, I can't. Like, I have a podcast and some other things going on. And he's like, well, do you have 10 minutes to talk? And I said, sure. And he is like, we know that you've officiated weddings in the past, and we were wondering if you would do ours. And I was like, heck yes, I will.
Cool. What a small world.
Yeah, I was not expecting it. I thought my days of doing weddings for friends was behind me, and I think I might have to re-up not my certification, but I haven't touched whatever that thing is that I need for probably... The last one I did was before COVID, so I'm sure whatever license I need is well beyond expired. But I told him I was on board in a second. I was like, yes, I'd be honored to do that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I love when the officiant is a family friend.
Yes.
There's usually fun anecdotes they add in, and of course, like, I do appreciate traditional weddings. But I really appreciate the fun stories that people share, and just the added value and quality of the wedding. It's just so cool to see them include their family in that way.
Yeah, it's awesome. And they want to get married in New York, and I haven't been to New York yet. So I was like, oh, I get an excuse to travel? Sure.
Destination weddings.
Yeah.
You gotta love them.
It'll be a good time.
Yeah.
Well, Daneeka, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on today that I forgot to bring up?
Not at the moment. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to chat with you and share a bit about myself. And one thing I really appreciate in our conversations, when you just reminding that, like, there may be one person out there that this could help. And so if anything resonates with anyone, like, definitely let them know and support, because I listened to a couple other of your podcasts, and I do appreciate, like, what you are doing, because, like you mentioned, like, maybe 15 of 20 people haven't done a podcast before. It's their first time, and so you've definitely made the experience comfortable. And so I think anyone who is interested in just taking that step and speaking and sharing your story, like, all it takes is, what was it, 20 Seconds of Courage from that one movie? But yeah.
Now I want to know what movie you're quoting.
I know. Matt Damon's in it, I think.
Oh, he's good too. I like most of his stuff.
Oh, We Bought a Zoo. we bought a zoo. He's like 20 seconds of courage. Just take 20 seconds and like literally just say yes to the opportunity. And you never know where that'll take you. So yeah, when it comes, that would be the last thing I'd leave with is just that courage piece.
I'm going to clip that and post it once a week so that every person I invite on sees it. Because it is a little bit nerve wracking. And I've had people even tell me that they said yes, and then they were on the drive over here, and it was on the drive when it became a reality of they were like, oh, I'm driving to a podcast. Like, what am I going to talk about? What's going to be said? And so, it can be a daunting thing. But to your point, thank you so much for having that courage and being willing to have a conversation. And for anyone that's in Austin, check out On It Gym.
Yes.
For anyone that is looking to get plugged into the community, if I put the recovery community, if I put your Instagram handle in the show notes, would you be okay with people reaching out if they're curious?
Yeah.
Awesome. So if that applies to you, scroll down a little bit. You'll see the Daneeka's Instagram handle in there, and you can send her a message. To everyone that's listening, thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, please give the show a 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you do that really small favor for me, my commitment to you guys will be that I'll continue to look for guests like Daneeka to come on the show and provide value, entertainment, motivations, ways to get plugged into different communities, different gyms to check out while you're in town, and just these life stories that hopefully you resonate with and gives you a little bit of encouragement as you go about your day. So if you would do that for me, I'd be so incredibly grateful. Daneeka, thank you again for making the trip out here on a Sunday. I really appreciate it. And to everyone listening, have a healthy and happy Saturday, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
All right. Bye, guys.